Hello and welcome to the news update on Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babayo and here are the headlines. US partially suspends visa services in Nigeria and 18 other countries. Army chief orders offensive operation against bandits and criminal elements in Southwest. Federal government declares kidnappers and bandits terrorists in major security policy shift. Federal government makes pre-employment drug testing mandatory for public service job applicants. CDS Oliede commends troops for rescue of abducted Niger school children and teachers. Nigeria-US diplomatic role resolved, bilateral ties stronger than ever, federal government says. Kaduna governor signs 985 billion 2026 budget into law, prioritizing education and development. And now the news in full. The United States Embassy in Nigeria has announced that certain U.S. visa services will be partially halted for Nigerian nationals and citizens of 18 other countries beginning 1st January 2026. This action stems from Presidential Proclamation 10998 titled Restricting and Limiting the Entry of Foreign nationals to protect the security of the United States and reflects Washington's broader effort to tighten entry protocols on specific foreign nationals. Under the restrictions, non-immigrant visas, including B1, B2 visitors visas, F student visas, M vocational visas, and J exchange visitor visas, may be suspended for applicants who are outside the US on their effective date and do not already hold valid visas. However, exemptions apply for certain categories, such as lawful permanent residents, dual nationals applying with passports from unaffected countries, and pre-issued visas that remain valid till January 1st, 2026. The U.S. Embassy stressed that no existing visas will be revoked simply because of the new policy, and Nigerians who hold valid visas before the cutoff will retain their status. Authorities have also clarified that affected individuals can still submit visa applications and attend interviews, but eligibility for issuance may be limited under the new rules. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, has directed a sustained and intensified military offensive against bandits, kidnappers, and other criminal elements operating in Nigeria's southwest region. Issued on 22nd December 2025 during his maiden operational visit to the 2nd Division headquarters in Ibadan, the order tasked troops with flushing out criminals from forests, bushes, and other hideouts to restore security and protect lives and property. Addressing officers and soldiers, the Army chief commended their resilience, professionalism, and evolving operational successes, while urging them to maintain momentum and reduce criminal activities to the barest minimum across the division's area of responsibility. Shaibu also reaffirmed his commitment to troop welfare, announcing approvals for the renovation and construction of troop accommodation to bolster morale and operational effectiveness. The directive reflects heightened military focus on tackling rising insecurity issues, including kidnapping and banditry, which continue to affect communities in the southwest and broader parts of Nigeria. Commanders are expected to integrate the offensive with ongoing collaborative security efforts involving other agencies to enhance stability in the region. The federal government of Nigeria has taken a decisive step in the country's battle against insecurity by officially classifying kidnappers, bandits, and other violent armed groups as terrorists, elevating these actors from ordinary criminal status into the realm of terrorism under Nigeria's counter-terror framework. The announcement was made during an end-of-year federal government press briefing in Abuja by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris. Under the new policy, any armed group or individual involved in mass kidnappings, attacks on farmers, assault on communities, or acts that instill widespread fear will be treated as a terrorist. This means such acts will now fall under the Terrorism Prevention Act and similar legal instruments designed to confront violent extremism rather than being prosecuted solely on conventional crimes. The move signals a zero-tolerance approach to insecurity and is intended to expand the operational and legal tools available to security agencies. By classifying these criminal networks as terrorist entities, authorities believe they can strengthen intelligence sharing, enhance interagency coordination, and deploy broader counter-terrorism powers to dismantle violent groups and disrupt their support structures. As part of this policy shift, the government also announced the deployment of trained and equipped forest guards to secure forests and remote terrain, often used as safe havens by kidnappers and bandits. The The federal government of Nigeria has approved a new policy requiring mandatory drug testing for all applicants seeking employment in the federal public service. This directive, issued via a service-wide circular from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, makes pre-employment drug screening a compulsory step before recruiting into ministries, departments and agencies (MDAs) and extra-ministerial departments and parastatals. Officials say the policy is aimed at helping curb the rising menace of illicit drug and substance abuse, which the government views as a growing threat to national development, public health, workplace productivity, and security. Under the new recruitment, Under the new requirement, permanent secretaries and heads of MDAs are expected to collaborate closely with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency to ensure that drug tests are conducted according to established standards and procedures as part of the recruitment process. We will now go on a short break, and when we come back, the news will continue. Stay tuned.
The Papyrus Global, we don't just cover events, we create cinematic experiences. From red carpets to birthdays, gala dinners, and your fairy tale weddings, we bring your moments to life with high-tech precision. Our gadgets are smarter, our lenses sharper, and our team simply world-class. Trust the Papyrus Global to tell your story in the boldest, brightest way possible.
Welcome back, and now the news will continue. The Chief of Defense Staff (CDS) General Olufemi Oluyede has publicly commended the Nigerian Armed Forces and security personnel for their role in the rescue of school children and teachers abducted in Niger State, praising their professionalism, bravery, and swift response. His remarks underscore the military's contribution to a high-profile security operation that concluded with the safe recovery of dozens of victims after a mass abduction incident earlier in December. The joint operation, coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor and involving the Army, police, and other security agencies, successfully freed a significant number of hostages taken from St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, Niger State, bringing relief to families and communities. The government has confirmed that the final batch of 130 school children and teachers has been released and reunited with authorities, with no one left in captivity. In his commendation, General Oluyede highlighted the strength of interagency cooperation and the courage of troops in confronting complex security challenges, reinforcing the military's commitment to safeguarding vulnerable populations against armed kidnappers. The federal government of Nigeria says the recent diplomatic dispute with the United States has been largely resolved, and that relations between the two countries are now stronger than before following sustained diplomatic engagement. At a year-end press briefing in Abuja, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, described the resolution as a result of firm, respectful engagement, highlighting that both sides moved past earlier tensions over political rhetoric and bilateral concerns. Earlier engagement between the two governments had been strained after the US President Donald Trump issued a series of criticism and threats over Nigeria's security situation, including controversial remarks about violence against religious communities that had drawn widespread attention and pushed relations into awkward territory. Nigerian officials consistently rebutted those allegations, emphasizing that the country's complex security challenges are not rooted in religious persecution but are part of broader insurgency and terrorism dynamics. According to the federal government, the diplomatic reset has cleared the way for enhanced cooperation, including approvals of new 5-year bilateral deals and cooperation frameworks, particularly in the health sector. Nigeria and the United States recently signed a multi-billion-dollar Health Cooperation Memorandum of Understanding designed to strengthen healthcare systems and attract investment, which the federal government has cited as evidence of deepening ties rather than deterioration. Kaduna State Governor Ubasani has signed 985 billion 2026 appropriation bill into law, marking a key milestone in the state's financial planning ahead of the new fiscal year. The legislation passed by the Kaduna State House of Assembly is designed to propel inclusive development and service delivery across critical sectors. Education remains a standout priority in the budget, receiving the largest allocation, 25% of total expenditure, underscoring the administration's focus on improving learning outcomes, infrastructure, and human capital development. The spending blueprint also emphasizes health, security, agriculture, rural transformation, and infrastructure expansion, reflecting a broad strategy to boost economic activity and quality of life across the state. Governor Obasani said the budget passage demonstrates policy continuity and fiscal responsibility, laying a roadmap for strategic investment while ensuring that essential public services are maintained and strengthened. Observers note that the timely signing of budget will enable government departments and agencies to begin implementation promptly in January 2026, minimizing disruptions to developmental programs and public expectations. And that's all we have on the news on Papyrus Global TV. I am Christiana Babayu. Thanks for joining us.